Alright, so I made it to the Apalachicola National Forest. There's a reason why I named this channel Misadventures Productions. Because where I wanted to be, or where I thought I wanted to be, there was a bridge that I saw. Well, that bridge hasn't been in use since the 70s. Stopped at a gas station in Sumatra, and I got some directions on how to kind of get around that. You know, it's getting late in the day, it's almost 1:30, and I happened up on this. I'm staying here tonight. I don't know if this is a spring or a sinkhole or just exactly what this is right here, but you can look at this water. I swear, I almost would jump in. Almost. This is gonna be home for the night. Plenty of wood around for me to build a fire and whatnot. Brought myself a ribeye steak. See, this is a car camp trip. I'm not on the kayak. I'm not hiking. So I was able to bring some creature comforts with me. So what I'm going to be doing though is I've got some pieces of gear that I use regularly that I never really featured on anything. So since I've got the time and I've got the resources, and I'm gonna kind of go through some of this stuff that I have. Some of it's pretty trick. Like my cooking utensil set. Can't wait to tell you about that. And I've got a couple things that I'm gonna try out for the first time. I bought a little 8-inch cook pan because I brought 2 eggs with me for the morning for breakfast and some butter. And I'm going to try this cook pan out. It's kind of non-stick, it's not cast iron. We'll talk about that probably in the morning when I cook the eggs. But here we are, Apalachicola National Forest, middle of nowhere. Oh, and let me tell you too, the gnats right now, the gnats, man. When I was coming down Highway 65, heading south, I got to a point where I swear I thought it was raining for a second, because it was just like I was going through a light rain, and I noticed that my windshield just kept getting more full and more full. Right now, right here, they're not too bad, but man, on that highway, I got to the gas station where I stopped at to get a little gas and get a snack, and I had to clean my windshield off. I mean, it was bad. That was some crazy stuff. I haven't driven through a gnat storm, I don't think, in my entire life, and that was a gnat storm. Oh, almost fell in the water. But this water, man, I'm gonna have to come back here in the summertime probably, and I might actually try and swim in this. And let's see if I can get a good shot here. You can see the bottom, and then it just drops. Look at this, middle of nowhere here, Panhandle of Florida. I still got a beach. Living the dream, baby. Living the dream. Alright, so I was telling y'all earlier about going a little more in depth on some of the gear that I use, and some of the gear that I'm going to be trying out for the first time. which actually I'm sitting in one of it. This little camp chair. They call it a backpacking chair, right? You could fit it in a backpack. If you are a avid backpacker, it would be too heavy. You know, backpackers, we like extra light. But anyhow, I'm sitting in it right now. It's comfortable. I do like it. You can lounge back or you can sit up a little straighter if you want. So yeah, we'll see how it fares. This is its first time out. So far I like it. It's by Ozark Trail. I talk a lot about Ozark Trail stuff. This second piece here though, this has been with me, oh man, I almost can't count how many kayak trips this has been with me. Don't always have a need for it. Tonight I will need it because I brought myself a steak, and I'm going to cook that over this fire. I don't know if you can see it, but I got me a little fire pit made over here. But anyhow, let me talk about this. Okay, it comes in this handy pouch, right? Little Velcro enclosure. Now what this is a Swiss Army style cook set. Like not pots and pans cook set, but what you actually are going to use to cook with. You have a basting brush right here, if you're so inclined. Okay? You have a spatula with a bottle opener right here. Okay? Now keep that going. You also have a fork. Alright? Now you keep that going. You got another bottle opener and a wine corkscrew. Okay? So you're looking at this thing though, you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to use those three different items when it's all together? Well, when you take it apart, now you've got your basting brush, which you can use if you need to. You can put that away. Now you've got a spatula and a fork that you can use to flip or stab and flip or maneuver things around on a grill, whatever you're using to cook with. This thing right here, I absolutely love it. I've used it before on my one-man, one-camera, one-night trip. I used this to help me cook my blue crab that I caught in the bay. That's my only, so far, cooking or catch and cook video that I've been able to get done. So anyhow, I'm going to start trying to put this to more use, but we're definitely going to use it tonight. I'm going to use it to cook that ribeye. I've had that ribeye marinating in some steak sauce, some red wine, a little bit of oil, some onions, and garlic. So I'm really looking forward to having an open fire, wildfire, basically grilled steak. I haven't had one of those in a long time. It packs away nice. It's great for what I like to do, which is kayak camp. And yeah, it's a pretty cool little piece of kit. I have no idea who makes this. So I wish I could help you out with that. I wish I could tell you about a link to Amazon or wherever or someplace where you could find this. I guess if you wanted to try and find it, you could Google Swiss Army cookware, something like that, but you're probably going to pull up something that's actually made by Swiss Army. You'll see me use it later on tonight. Now another thing, if I can find out where I stashed it. Oh, here it is, right underneath my butt. This right here has also been with me for a while. You can see it's burnt, charred, and everything. This is the Grilly Put Quattro. All right, it's made by UCO. Now, I don't think they make this anymore. It can be a bit fiddly to put together, but it is a great low volume packable item. Another cool thing is when you take off, these are silicone on the end. Okay, when you take these off of there, what you wind up with after that is some cool little pinchers to grab the hot stuff with. So it comes apart. This is one of the side rails. You've got your legs right here. These are your actual grill grates, okay? They're stainless steel. You do have to be a little gentle with it. You don't want to go banging it around or you're going to wind up warping these and you'll have a hard time bending them back into how they have to go. So you've got your legs, okay? You got one of your side stands and you got two legs and you've got two of these. I hope you can see those. They're really thin. Now you see it looks like a shepherd's hook right there if you can see that bend. Okay, what you do is you take your leg, I usually go about 4 spaces down, and you set it in there like so. You're going to take your side stand or your side rails, go ahead and set one of them down on there. There's little notches in it, in the legs. Now they should snap into place, but after you use it a few times, they don't really snap anymore. So what you do is you just be very gentle and careful, And you get 2 of those in there like so. Kind of have to build the frame first. Let me pull this camera up a bit. So that's what you wind up seeing right there, okay? It's a nice box frame, all right? Now, that's about the hardest part. So there's little holes on the side. You put one in through a hole, and then you line it with its corresponding side over here. Now here's where it gets fun. You have to bend it into and on. Now, when the grill's fully put together, it's going to have a bit of a bow to it. All right, so if you're grilling hot dogs, let's say, you want to be careful and put them in a way where they're not going to roll off, because they might. Now I'm going to put a couple on the outside just to add some extra stability. And then once I get these guys set up, you just keep on crossing and threading these in there. And in just a moment we'll have a grill that I'm going to have ready for my steak. I'm also going to do a bit of a cooking lesson, an outdoor cooking lesson, but it's also something that can carry through at the house. Seen a couple folks do some videos where they're, you know, outdoors and they cook, and some of them are cringe-worthy. I worked in restaurants for 23 years. I'm a culinary school graduate. Went all the way from fast food up to some serious fine dining. I'm a bit of a kitchen Nazi, okay? So I've seen some outdoor cooking videos, you know, some catch and cook and things like that, and you know, the cleaning techniques of the animal, you know, of whatever it is that they're about to cook, the evisceration and everything. No complaints with many of those that I've seen. It's the actual cooking of that meat or of that food, whatever it is that they're cooking. Mostly meat. It's the cooking of the meat that, to me, I've seen a lot of just simple mistakes. I'll talk about that too once it gets a little darker. I don't really have a need for the fire yet. I've got a nice little bundle started that I'm ready to light when I need it. If you live anywhere where there are pine trees, which I'm sure as you're looking around behind me, I am surrounded by pine trees. Well, if you can find some down pine, okay, where you don't necessarily have to chop something down, there's something called fat lighter that is in the heart of a pine tree. Here's some fat lighter right here. Okay, now you can see that's, if I can get the sun behind it, it's almost translucent. And if you were to take this and give it a whiff, it's going to smell like pine sol. All right. Now this stuff right here is very flammable. It's not going to blow up on you, but it's going to catch a flame and it's going to hold a flame really well. Okay. If you don't have, let's say you're out and you don't have paper or something like that around with you. Once you get your base bundle started, you put some of that fat lighter on there, and then you can start adding some of your larger kindling, and it's going to help build that fire up and keep that fire going well. That's just a little skill tip that I wanted to bring up. Fat lighter. You can look it up online, look it up on Google. Just about done here putting the grilly put together. I think I got 2 more slats to go. One on either very end here. There's the final one. I'm going to be all up in your face. Jalapeno face. So there you go. Grilly put Quattro. Very low profile. That whole thing packs up inside. These side rails right here. It's lightweight, but yeah, it is made out of metal. So yeah, it's got some weight to it, but it's not that much. And then once you get your fire going, you can set this wherever you need to. It'll stand up. It's not going to go anywhere. It's very stable. It's a good little grill. We're going to see what it does to a ribeye though. Kind of a test trip for me also. When I kayak camp, I bring a 5-gallon water bladder with me and I keep in my hatch. It acts as a ballast, and also I've got plenty of water. I didn't bring anything. Completely honest. Did not bring anything to drink. I had 2 Gatorades that I drank on the way here. My original campsite was going to be near a water source. So this one, obviously, has this beautiful, almost crystal clear pond. So I gathered some water from down there on that shore. here, but I've had this boiling. It's been on a hard rolling boil for about 10 minutes since I've been talking with you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna let that cool. That's my source for hydration, right there. I didn't know it was gonna be this warm out here, and I really didn't want to have a fire going yet. So I use my propane camp stove. So, cheater. Talk about my camp setup. This fly that I have, it's a really big fly, and sometimes it's a little cumbersome. But it is by Gold Armor. Packs down real small, especially for its size. So that's what I usually keep with me. It covers the entire length of my hammock and then some. Speaking of my hammock, some of y'all might laugh. I don't really much care because I've slept many nights in this thing. It is an equipped one-person travel hammock. Walmart, baby. Okay. I've had it, good God, probably a year. I have recently upgraded my hammock straps. The name is actually, here, hold on. Soulful. They're pretty handy. I like those. This here, I'm sure you guys might have noticed, I have this string or line going across the top of my hammock. Now, for those of you who are experienced hammock campers, you know exactly what that is. For those of you who may not be, that is called a top line. And what that does is you get your top line set, okay, by finding the spread, okay, or the drape of the hammock you like. All right, you find that sweet spot where it's not too curved, it's not too straight. You can lay sideways, you know, on your side, on your stomach, on your back. You get a nice flat lay, and then you take this line and you tie it to either end, okay, from that end, and then you run it along and you tie it to your other end. What that does for you is when you go out to set your hammock up, it doesn't matter, okay? You aren't going to have to try and figure out, well, where did I have it last time? Just how tight did I have my hammock strung up, you know? Use that top line right there, and every time you get that top line nice and level, that's going to be that sweet spot for you. So, it's a pretty handy little trick. I've been wanting to do this for months. I've been wanting to come out here to the National Forest in Apalachicola. I was planning on taking the kids and bringing the kids out here with me, but I figured, you know, this is pretty wild. It would be the wildest that I've had them out in. You know, we've done some camping and you know, we did an overnighter on a river, but we weren't too far away from, you know, civilization. Like I said, I'm about 30 miles in any direction from anything. So I'm in the middle of the woods. So I figured I better kind of do a test run first, see how the night goes. And now that I found the spot, this would be pretty kid friendly, I think. We'll see what kind of critters might decide to come around during the night. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little concerned about that too. I'm not really armed. I mean, I'm armed. I have a hatchet, a machete, and several knives. I just don't know if I want to do hand-to-hand combat with a panther or a bear. If it comes down to it, though, I'm going to have a hatchet and a machete in my hand, and we're going to go toe-to-toe. And we'll see who walks out of the woods. But this is, I couldn't ask for greater weather for this. I mean, blue skies. It's probably about 70 degrees. And it's February the 15th. You know, this is almost dead of winter for a lot of folks, and they're, you know, here I am in the panhandle of Florida, and I could be wearing shorts. Like, I overdressed, but it's supposed to get cold tonight. And that brings me to another thing. I can't believe I didn't forget about this, or I can't believe I did forget about this. If you're going to hammock camp in anything under 65, 70 degrees, you're going to want an underquilt. Here's my hammock, okay? My hammock's here. This is my hammock. This is an underquilt. Now, I like one that goes the entire length of my hammock, which this pretty much does. My feet don't come up that high. Some underquilts are only going to cover like your back and your butt. What they do, if you don't know, is they create a little pocket of air between your butt and the ground that's insulated, and that's going to keep you multiple times warmer in cold nights than without it. Okay, trust me. I've also got this big old Coleman sleeping bag right here. All right, good old Coleman. This is a mummy bag. I think it's rated at 0 degrees. There's been nights that I've slept with this hammock, that underquilt, and this sleeping bag when it's gotten down into the high 30s to low 40s, and I was almost sweating. So I know it's going to keep me warm in some pretty cold temperatures. So I brought that tonight because we're looking at we're looking at high 30s for the low tonight. But anyway, I don't want to talk your heads off. I'm out here though, Apalachicola National Forest, Panhandle, Florida, having a one-night stand. I'll check back in a little bit. All right, so back to talking about a little bit of gear, things that I bring with me. This guy right here, I've had this for a while. I bought it for work over the summer. I was spending so much money going to stores and getting drinks during the summer, working out in the sun and the heat here in Florida, that this saved me a lot of money. I could fill this as 64 ounces. I could fill this up with water, Gatorade, tea, whatever I wanted to have to drink. It would keep it cool all day for me. I realized though, on my 2-night, 3-day trip, kayak trip on the Pine Log Creek, Choctawhatchee River, Choctawhatchee Bay, and then Intercoastal Waterway, I thought of something. I was like, you know what? If it keeps cold drinks cold, then I wonder what it would do with ice, you know? Because I'd be out there and I'm drinking, you know, atmospheric temperature liquids. Sometimes you just want a cold beverage. So I filled it full of ice on that trip. I still had ice cubes when I got done with that trip. And it was 3 days, 2 nights. So got me some ice on this trip. Another thing though, this doesn't have to do with gear. This is just a creature comfort that I that I did on that trip, and I figured I'd do it on this trip too. Is bring along a little adult beverage, okay? And what I've got tonight, I took upon recommendation from a friend of mine named Don Hartshorn, okay? And here's how I even know this man. My big yellow kayak that you've probably seen on some of my videos, that kayak, I bought it from him, okay? And, you know, it's funny, it's the funny thing about some kayaks. They they tend to, especially used kayaks, they tend to have a story behind them. They always do. And if it's truly something special to somebody, then the person who had it before, you know, me in this case, kind of wanted to keep in touch, you know. And so that's what happened with Don. So I've stayed in touch with him, and, you know, we friends on Facebook, you know, whatnot. And I noticed he goes camping a lot too. And I noticed he usually has some kind of a, you know, adult beverage with him. There's so much ice in here I can't even get it out. Need about 2 more. There, that's plenty. But anyhow, one of his trips, he was talking about Crown Royal Vanilla, right? Now, if you don't know, you're about to know. I'm a whiskey fan. I like whiskeys. I like whiskeys and scotches. And I usually don't really like anything flavored, right? It just give me my whiskey, tastes like whiskey. Well, this Crown Royal Vanilla, I took upon his recommendation, and, you know, I'll be honest, I popped it open last night and, you know, had a shot of it. And it really is kind of good. So tonight, I'm going to have myself a little bit here. Just a little bit on the rocks. And also, definitely going to have some with that steak. And speaking of steak, I got some tending to do to the fire while I let this mellow in the ice for a bit. Because this sucker is trying to go out on me here. There we go. A little fire CPR. So as you can see, the sun's starting to get low. I don't want to put it right in the light, but the sun's starting to go down behind those trees. Everything is quiet, dead calm right now. This is almost the perfect time of day though right now. This time of day and morning around, you know, just before sunset and just before sunrise. It's beautiful. I'll tell you, if there's anybody out there watching these videos, any of my videos that I do, that maybe wouldn't think they would want to camp, or they could camp, or they have, you know, the skills necessary. Listen, it's not rocket science, guys. It really isn't. You know, basic necessities. You got to have food, you got to have water, and you got to have shelter. Okay. Anything after that is just luxuries. Like this chair, it's a luxury. Food, water, shelter, and of course fire. So buy a lighter. You know, buy a lighter. Nobody has to go out. Not everybody has to go out in the woods and, you know, use a bow drill or anything like that. Rub 2 sticks together. You know, it's not all about that. You can make it easier on yourself. You know, I drove out here. You know, I got my car parked right there. I mean, if worst comes to worst tonight, something happens, I can skedaddle off and lock myself in the car. It's not tough. And I'll be honest with you, bugs aren't bad. You know, especially if you have a fire going, the smoke's gonna keep a lot of bugs away. Don't worry about creepy crawlies. They're more afraid of us, as everybody says, than we are them. You're gonna get dirty, so be prepared for that. You are gonna get dirty. I slipped in the mud over there checking things out. I was looking to see what kind of tracks were around up by the water and everything, and there was one time I saw something kind of large and had claws, right? Very spread. It was a dog. It was a dog print. So I haven't seen anything. I've seen deer, I've seen raccoon, I've seen dog. That's about all I've seen so far. So I know there's bear out here, and I know there's Florida panther out here too. But they're so elusive, you'll probably never see one. The bear, I do have my concerns about the bear, but not too much. I'm more worried about raccoons than I am about bear, because little bandits will get into anything. So I'm trying to make sure I keep anything that they could get into either in the car or up high. I know they can climb trees, but some of these trees around me are pretty small. So my food I'm keeping in the car. I'm just hoping the smell of this steak that I'm going to cook soon doesn't try to bring anybody around, because it's going to be good, which we're getting real close to being able to do that steak. Like I said, I'm going to kick back here with a little cocktail and just enjoy the scenery for a little while. Watch this sun go down behind the trees. It's starting to cool off, so I'll check back in when it's time to make some steak. Alright, so the fire's about ready. Got myself a little po' boy bread right there, right? Put a little butter on it and some habanero jack cheese. So it's going to be kind of like a smoked grilled cheese sandwich. Just about to put this steak on the grill though. I'm going to go ahead and start this little tutorial, okay? You have to get whatever your cooking surface is going to be hot first. Alright, I've seen that happen so many times, especially with grills and campfires. You know, they get their fire going and their fire's all, you know, good and well. And they take their grill and they slap it on top of the fire and they throw their meat on top. No. You got to get that grill hot. Just like you're cooking hot dogs or burgers or whatever in your backyard with your little propane or charcoal grill, same thing applies. All right, you got to cook on a hot surface. So I've had the grill sitting over the fire now for a while. If you can hold your hand over the fire, that was hot, for anything more than 5 seconds, it's not hot enough. Okay, if you can't hold it there for more than 5 seconds, you're about there, you're ready. So I've got my ribeye, okay, it's been marinating overnight, and we're going to cook a steak together. I'm going to break out my handy dandy Swiss Army style cooking utensils. I'll go ahead and split them up, get myself a spatula, get myself a fork, and set those down. It's okay if they get hot. Plus I'm going to turn this grilled cheese sandwich. Actually, I'm going to move that over there. It needs a little more heat on that side. Now you should hear a sizzle, I'm hoping. Yep. It's not as hot as I want it to be, but it's pretty darn good. And you want to leave that alone. Don't touch it. Don't do a thing to it. Alright, so you just want those flames to just kiss that thing. And we're going to let that sit for a bit. While we do that, let's check out this sandwich. A little grilled cheese sandwich that we got. Oh, it's getting there. A little habanero jack cheese. There's a little butter on there. I'm going to let that keep going. I want that cheese to get nice and gooey. And I wish this fire was a little bit hotter. Hold on one second. Let's get this guy hotter. Now really, what you're optimally looking for is a good hard sear on the meat. We're close to achieving here. I got pretty close to it. Fire wasn't quite as hot as I thought it was. So you're starting to hear a sizzle now just a little bit. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. Another thing I like about this grill, you're in nice soft sand, which we have a lot of around here. It's pretty easy to drop it down a little closer to the fire. On this side, it's starting to smell good. Now here's part of the reason why you want to save some of that marinade. If you marinade. If you don't, no big deal. You don't have to. I don't usually marinate my steaks, to be honest with you. We're going to drizzle it right over that sucker. Now I'm going for probably about a medium rare to medium, I'm hoping. So I still got a ways to go. That sucker's still pretty rare, so you don't want to rush it. Obviously you don't want to rush it. But when I flip this next time, this side over here that's on the fire should be good and have a good char on it. Now, I'm not talking about black like the whole thing, but just a nice caramelization is the word, really. You want that when you're cooking meat. You want a good caramelization on that meat. And I've got a real nice fire going right up underneath it now. So we're going to go ahead and flip it. I want to see what that other side's doing. There we go. See that? See there around the edges? Right there. Right around there. It's getting some good sear on it. That bone. This is a bone-in ribeye, by the way. That bone right there is starting to juice out. That's what we're looking for. We're almost there. I'm going to tell you, in true misadventure fashion, this is the reason why I call this channel Misadventures Productions. In true misadventure fashion, I left the house without a plate to eat on. I've devised a plan that I'm going to cook and I'm going to eat the steak off the grill. And I've got a dive knife and this fork. That I kind of planned on purpose. But for getting a plate, not so much on purpose. It's getting hot. Come on, marinade. And I even like to put a little bit in the fire. Cause a little bit of smoke. Now notice you don't ever want to sit there and press down. You don't want to sit there and mush on it and mash it down into the grates. Don't do that. All you're doing then is just squeezing all the juice out. You're getting there. We're getting real close. Why not put a little whiskey on there too? This is a huge tip right here. Never cook your steak to the temperature that you want on the grill. Cook it just below that temperature, and then when you take it off the grill, which we're about to do now, we're going to move this thing over so I can get ready to eat this sucker. When you take it off the grill, it's going to do something called carryover. Now, I made a living off carryover cooking for about probably 10 years. It's a thing. And it's an important thing. And what I mean by carryover cooking is that steak right now is still cooking. Just because you took it off the heat doesn't mean that it stopped. So if you want to cook a good medium steak, you cook that steak to about medium rare, and then you take it off the heat. And you let it sit for maybe 5 minutes, and it's going to come up to that medium temperature. I can't wait to cut into this thing and show you guys. It'll be that nice medium with the good pink inside. If you want medium rare, you know, cook it just a little bit above rare, and you'll wind up with that good medium rare. I never liked using thermometers when I cooked. I learned by feel and by sight, right? Kind of get an idea of what your steak's temperature is. 1, by touch with your finger. 2, by the color of the juices that are coming out of it. If they start running clear, you're probably pushing medium well to almost well done. If you've got some nice, still red, but you notice that fat starting to kind of melt down a bit, you're right around that medium range. Mid-rare, it's a little tougher to tell. I usually do that by touch. The big thing is though, my main point is, don't cook your steak to temperature on the grill or the pan or whatever you're using. Don't cook it to that point, because then when you take it off, it's continuing to cook and it's going to wind up being more done than what you wanted it to be. Cook just below the temperature you want. Take the meat off the grill or out of the pan or whatever you're using, and let it, as we call, rest. You got to let that meat rest. It's going to carry up to the temperature that you're looking for, and also it's going to wind up being a lot juicier. I'm getting ready to eat this thing. I'm hungry. Good morning. 6:30, and I was hoping that I'd have some coals left in my fire so I could quickly stoke it up again, but it's bone cold. Everything's a little wet from the dew. I'm not going to worry about trying to get another fire going because, well, honestly, there's no sense in me burning some wood because I'm really not going to be here much longer. I was talking about we're going to test out that little 8-inch cook pan that I've got and cook up some eggs and see how that thing works out. I don't think I really had any visitors last night either. Of course, I will tell you this. Once I fell asleep, I didn't wake up until morning. I slept great. My underquilt, my sleeping bag. I slept basically in what you see me in right now. If it got down into the 30s last night, I didn't notice. It's a little overcast today. There are chances of showers at some point today. But I just can't get over this water hole right here. I really hope the camera is picking up the colors. I mean, it is just amazing to me. I still don't know what this is. I don't know if it's, you know, like I said, I don't think it's a spring. It could be, but I don't see how it's boiling up unless it's just not putting out a whole lot of water. Could be a sinkhole that went down into the aquifer, I suppose. But it's obviously got banks, and it drops. I mean, it drops, boom. So I don't know how deep it is, but it looks like it goes pretty deep because that water gets real blue out there. Oh, hear that? It's my daily alarm. Hold on. Gosh. So anyhow, let's get some eggs. Get my little camp stove out, and we'll cook up some eggs. And now here, maybe somebody can help me with this. To me, this looks like rosemary, but it doesn't smell like rosemary. So I'm not sure what that is. It just really looks like a rosemary bush. They're all over the place out here. So if anybody knows what that might be, feel free to leave a comment and help a brother out. Because I almost tried to eat it because I thought it was rosemary. Plucked a sprig off of it. I was gonna put it on that steak last night. You know, I was sitting there, I was trying to rub it to smell it, but all I could smell was campfire because I've been messing with the fire for so long. So I plucked a couple little leaves off of it and put it in my mouth and kind of chewed on it a bit. It wasn't rosemary, that's for sure. Didn't taste, wasn't like I was poisoned or anything, but definitely wasn't rosemary. Let's make some eggs. So here's the pan. Alright, just a simple little aluminum pan. It's got a folding handle, if I can. It looks non-stick. I got a little butter too that we're going to use with it. So I'm going to set that guy down there. Take some of this butter here. Shave off a nice little pat. Maybe just a little bit more. Heats up quick. That's good. I like that. Let's get that butter all around on there. Alright, let's go for it. And a couple eggs here. Better get the other one in there. Looks like it's going to stick. Hold on. It's cooking a little too fast. Yep, it sticks. Not too awful bad. It's definitely sticking. Well, these are not gourmet eggs, I'll tell you that much. I was hoping for some nice, you know, maybe over mediums or something. Not with this guy. Not today. But breakfast is breakfast. I'm gonna hook this up a little bit though with some extras. Definitely going for some of that habanero jack cheese. And we're gonna go with a little bit of a koto salame. Well, it's getting its non-stick going on now. Maybe it just didn't like the butter. Odd. I bet I could start swirling this and flipping this around now. Oh, getting the hang of this pan. Alright. Well, there you have it. I'd say, all in all, it's not a bad little pan, honestly. It wanted to stick at first, but I mean, everything kind of seemed like it got slicker once the butter was gone, which that don't make sense to me, so I don't know. First time use with this pan, I'll get used to it. Now we're gonna heat this stuff up real quick now. I want to get that salami nice and brown. All right, there's breakfast. So I had this feeling in my bones. I'm not even kidding you. After I ate breakfast, I was like, you know, I should probably pack up and, you know, go on and head out. So I did, right? And I just got in the car to leave. And it is raining. I don't know if you can see the drops. There we go. It started raining just as I sat down in my seat. I'd say this was a successful trip. That was just the cherry on the top right there to get camp packed up, and I mean, as soon as I was walking back to the truck with the last little bit that I had in my hand to put in the back, I felt a raindrop on my cheek. And sure enough, as soon as I closed that back hatch door, closed my passenger door and sat in the driver's seat and closed it, it started raining. Anyway, this is Andy, Misadventures Productions, signing off until next time.